the key to good decision making is to make a research, to talk to people, to gather data, and to talk to professionals and people who know things. And then when you gather enough data, you will be able to make the best decision, right? So this is probably one of the most important decisions of your lives, finding the best school, and you're at the right spot, okay? So Breska. Sorry, Breska is the person who knows the Canadian education system, and also, most importantly, more specifically, Mohawk College, which we will talk about today. So, Breska, thank you for joining us. It's great to host you today. How are you?
Thank you so much, Tussel. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see some of your faces and some of you on the call joining us. I'll introduce myself. My name is Breska. I'm the market specialist for Middle East, North Africa, and Turkey at Mohawk College. And I basically look over explaining to you, meeting with you, and talking to our partners like Tussel and his team about how we can help you understand the best educational pathway, the best educational route for you. So today I'm here to talk about Mohawk College and hopefully answer some of your questions just around education in Canada in general.
Great, that's the plan. It's a great plan. So, okay, the format is like, I have some questions and probably, our participants probably have some questions. So we will ask you questions, and then maybe if you would like to talk about something, please go ahead and talk about it. If you think something is important and it's not in the question, so you can go ahead and talk about that too. Mm-hmm. So my first question is, maybe it's a starting question. There are a lot of options, okay, in the area. So, Ontario is like, very popular, right, by students. They come to me and like, hey, I want to go to a school in Ontario, Toronto. I'm like, why Toronto? And they're like, it's a big city. I'm like, okay. It's because people don't know much about the area and don't know much about the schools. They just hear about like just some couple of schools, and they ask me information about that. I'm like, hey, why don't you think about that area? Why don't you think about that school? So that's what I do. So if I ask you this question, what is special about Mohawk?
Okay, so I wouldn't be able to just tell you one thing, because I don't think that's fair to just understand. So I want to give you kind of an understanding of where Mohawk College is, what is generally special about Mohawk College. So to begin, Mohawk College is in a city called Hamilton. So Hamilton, if you're not familiar, is in Ontario. The best way I explain it is it's right in the middle of Toronto and Niagara Falls, both of those big tourist cities that we're pretty much familiar with. So it's about 45 minutes away from each of those cities or tourist attractions, right? Here is the thing. A lot of people think 45 minutes, oh my God, that's so far. That's like going from Ankara and keep going all the way to Nevşehir, maybe.
Why, Oh
maybe.
My God, I'm impressed.
But in Canada, it's a little bit different. 45 minutes, it's not so far. So the city Hamilton, mid-sized city, there's about 600,000 people living here from all different communities. We do have a Turkish community as well here. And the city itself, it's beautiful. It's filled with nature. If you like hikes, if you like waterfalls, 200 waterfalls inside the city, if you like to be close to Toronto and Niagara Falls, this is it for you. Especially you as a new immigrant potentially to Canada, to be exposed to that Canadian life, job opportunities in general, especially if you have kids or families. This is a great start for you. So location would be one. Other parts is that Mohawk is a public college. So if you are interested in potentially later on settling in Canada, or you would need to consider a public college, right? Because of the whole path of studying in a public college, getting your postgraduate work permit, and then immigrating through express entry program, which you could talk to your agent about later on. Just an idea. We are listed as the #1 college for student satisfaction in the greater Toronto and Hamilton area. We have lots of programs for you. 115 different programs in all different fields that we'll go over in a bit. It's a big college, 30,000 students, 5,000 almost international students. That's huge, okay? So we really understand the international experience and journey, and there's an entire department for students to help them during their transition to Canada, in Canada, and beyond, right? Other things is that we're one of the top 10 research-intensive colleges in Canada. We have excellent rates of employment. For example, 88% of our students find jobs within 6 months. That's so important for you because that's your end goal, right? You want to be studying in a practical school so you could gain that practical Canadian experience and be able to work. So that statistics is important. Aside from that, I could go on and on, but these things really do stand out for me for now.
Yeah, wow. That's a great summary. Thank you. Great start. Another question about the Canadian education system, because it's very different from Turkey's, actually, from the rest of the world. I always explain this to students, of course, but probably we will all would like to hear from you, a professional working in a college. What's the difference between a college and a university?
Oh, that's a good question, because this is a challenge I really have with relaying, right? So in Canada, when a student, for example, graduates from high school, right? They have the option. Do they want to go to university and do that theoretical kind of path of bachelor's, master's, PhD, or they could go to college and get their diploma, graduate certificate, and that's the path generally. But it gets a little bit more complicated. So it's not just like a direct stream like this. So sometimes students go to college to get that practical experience. Some programs you cannot take in university. Like in university, you're studying, I always just say this, political science. But what job does that really get you, right? It's a very broad kind of education, right? In college, it's very specific and it's geared towards you end goal of finding a job. For example, you'll be studying biotechnology. You already have a job in mind, right? Civil engineering technician, already a job in mind. Software development. I'm just trying to give you ideas, right? So these automatically link you to a specific job, right? They're more practical. They're meant for you to get hands-on experience, get to work in a short period. So you study 2 years, 1 year, or sometimes 3 years, depending on which program you're taking, and then go straight to working. Other times, students don't want to jump into university right away, right? They want to get college experience, get some sort of education, some sort of experience before going into university, and we have that too. So for example, I'm in the office, so if you see my colleagues, they will wave, but
no problem.
this is as real as I could make it in a virtual world.
This is great. This is just great.
So yeah, so in college, if you study in college, you could branch out to university, right? So for example, if you take a computer systems program at Mohawk College, you could go to university after and save a year. A lot of international students do this, okay? Mm-hmm. They do this because they want to come to Canada. They want to study a short-term program that will, is 3 times cheaper than university. They want to be able to work. They want to go through the whole part of being an immigrant through express entry. And once they're Canadian, they transfer to university. Mm-hmm. These are some ideas. So they're completely different things, but there's no grading in it. Like, back home in Turkey and stuff, we look at college and we think it's high school. It's not like that. It's a completely different field of education. It's different way of learning.
Yeah, I have a question because like probably 85-90% of my students are seeking for postgraduate degrees. So they have bachelor degrees and they come to me like, I want a master's degree. I'm like, why master's? So what they really need is a postgraduate degree or a graduate degree, okay? So can you talk a little bit about that kind of certification or diploma programs?
Of course. So I hope you could see my screen. So,
here we go. Yeah.
So this is a list of some of our postgraduate certificates or graduate certificates that we have. So these programs I divided into, some business, health, and like systems, right? I divided it for you technical wise. So you could see these programs, most of them are one-year programs. And they're intended for students that already have their bachelor's, already have their master's, even their PhDs or beyond, right? It's meant for you to complement what you have or elevate what you have, and meant for you to get closer to your career or maybe career goals. For example, many students, they come from, a very extensive educational background. They're nurses, they're, doctors back home, and they want to come to Canada. They're like, what do I do? You can't practice your field here. So they take a program, it's called Canadian Healthcare for Foreign Trained Professionals. So that program is intended for doctors and nurses and medical professionals to come to Canada, get that Canadian knowledge. It's perfect for them, complements what they have, right? Aside from that, there's different ones, master equivalencies, right? So you think of them as masters, but they're called graduate certificates. International business management, project management. There's really cool new ones, like, for example, digital health, a new field altogether. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it blends like the health and computer system world together, right? And job market is huge for that right now. So yeah, we do have graduate certificate programs, excellent for those that maybe already have their master's, bachelor's, and beyond.
Yeah. Wow, thank you for that. I think this is a very good information, because lots of students, they're not aware of this, those options. They can also get one postgrad program plus another one, and they can get 3 years of postgraduate work permit. Is that correct?
That is definitely correct. It's called the twinning option. So, or in some places they call 1+1. So what it does is, because
I know Mohawk calls it like twinning,
yeah,
right?
twinning.
Yeah.
Just so you won't forget, twinning. So basically, because of the graduate certificates, they're 1 year, right? So most of the times you need 2 years to be eligible for that 3-year postgraduate work permit, right? So we are able to, at the time when you're applying, you can combine 2 programs back to back. For example, you could take international business management, and right after you graduate, you could take project management. Your letter of acceptance will have both of those programs, and you're set to go.
Yeah, that's a good option. That's a great option. So you just showed us the postgraduate programs. What about other programs? Like if I'm a high school newly graduate, what are my options in Mohawk College?
Definitely. So there are definitely a lot of options for our students. We have like over 105 different diploma or advanced diploma programs, okay? So they're in various fields. For example, we have in different campuses for different things. So if you're interested in health, for example, practical nursing, personal support worker, physiotherapy assistant, all these are at our campus inside McMaster University. It's like one of really reputable universities. This is so cool, because you as a Mohawk College student are inside a university, so you're getting both the experiences at once, right? We have lots of programs in business. So accounting, financial services, marketing, There's how to manage small business, lots of programs in business, lots of programs in IT. So for example, we have software support, software development, security, like cybersecurity analytics, things like that. We also have engineering programs, electrical engineering, civil engineering, different variations. Community service programs. So if you're interested in, like, for example, personal support worker, early childhood education, we do have options for you. And another cool one that I really like is our aviation program. So these are aviation maintenance and technician programs, okay? So we have an entire campus inside Hamilton International Airport. So students are working in Mohawk College aircraft inside the airport. And the cool part about this is that our students get job offers within the first semester of studying, because that's how in demand these jobs are. And these are all diploma levels. So students that have their high school completed can apply. But remember, college is a little bit different. So because they're so practical, even students that have their bachelor's, even master's, can apply to these if it complements or elevates what they have.
Okay, good. Let's say I'm planning to start a Mohawk, and I'll be coming with my family. And I have options, different options to choose the programs. But I'm thinking about in the Hamilton area, what kind of jobs are popular, easy to find jobs. So which industries are strong? Can you talk about it that little bit, the industries, how the job market looks like in the area?
Definitely. So we are very close to what is called North America's version of Silicon Valley. Lots of tech jobs, lots of opportunities in the Waterloo Guelph area, which is about like 25, 30 minutes away from us. Okay. So there is a lot of job opportunities in anything computer systems. I think this is generally the idea, which is why our computer system programs are really quick to fill up. But I think it's specifically more in Hamilton, especially with all these tech companies so close to us and all these opportunities here. Aside from that, there's a lot of different variations of banking, lots of banking jobs here, lots of community service jobs, right? There's a lot of, I guess, smaller organizations who are looking for to improve the community, right? So whether it's like mental health services, homelessness services, things like that, they're really looking for, Mohawk College grad. And another thing about Hamilton works closely with Mohawk College and recruiting our graduate students. So we really make sure we market this well all over the city to hire our grads and trust in them. And also, because you're in a city that's a little bit far away from Toronto, where competition is huge, opportunities are there for you. That's why I always say it's much, I wouldn't say easier, because, finding a job anywhere requires
it is challenging,
work, right? It's not like you finish a degree and you get a job. For example, myself, I have 2 degrees from university. It was really difficult for me to find a job. But when I went to college, just not trying to be biased, just my personal experience, when I went to college, I was able to narrow down my kind of study or field that I want to get into, and it became much easier, right? You have to concentrate what you want. What was I going to do with a political science degree, aside from coming to Turkey right now in the elections, maybe? But there was really nothing I could do with that. But, just concentrating what you have. I actually drove down today there's Ancaster, which is like a smaller little city beside Hamilton, Ancaster Business Center, it's called. And there's a lot of vehicles, like car sales places, right? And they all had banners looking for, technicians. all these jobs pointed me to a program at Mohawk, and it made me think there's so many opportunities for these students, and that's exactly what they're looking for. So, yeah.
So in a nutshell, so you said IT, we talked about aviation jobs, nursing, banking,
Nursing
business.
is always in demand. Yeah, nursing is like.
Nursing is, high demand in every area, in every city, right? In Canada, actually, probably in the world. And also IT.
Nursing is a little bit competitive now, right? It's a little harder to get in. So for students that can't get into that and they want to eventually get to that, but in the meantime, get close to that field, personal support worker. 1-year program, it's a good opportunity for you to find a job right after, or maybe pathway your way to nursing eventually. Personal support worker. Okay,
one of the participants just sent me a direct email, direct message saying that he cannot hear. What about others? Can everybody hear us? Okay. I cannot see your name. Probably there's something wrong with your settings. Maybe you might want to check that out. Okay. By the way, everyone, you can use the chat and send us your questions. Please do not directly send it to me, but to everyone, so that everybody can see the question. Okay, so that we can answer. So the floor is open. Use the chat, or you can just simply speak up. Okay. Yeet says you can click on the microphone icon on the left and set the speaker arrangements. I don't know. Try that. Okay. Play with it. Okay, we talked about the programs. We talked about the school, the city, the opportunities. Great. What about the admission requirements? So what do you expect from us?
Good question. So I'm going to put a slide on the screen while I talk about it, because I think it helps visualize things. So the first thing is that all applications need to go through you, right? So the agent, EduPath. So applications right now, we're not accepting for any intake because basically September is already full and there's not enough time for visa. So forget about September. We're focusing on January. And just recently updated. So we're going to accept applications for January, beginning June 26th. So just 1 month from now. So I have this update for you.
Isn't that late, kind of? What do you think?
For January, I think it's a good amount of time, especially for Turkey. For Turkey, it's a good time because usually in comparison to other places nearby, it's a little bit faster. So I think it's fine. So for January, we'll accept applications in 1 month. Until then, you should prepare your application package and submit it to your agent, EduPathways, right? So they're here. You have their contact information. They're your point of reference, okay? So what do you need? So you need your passport, okay? And needs to be valid for at least 6 more months, okay? So that's important. You also need your academic transcripts and your proof of graduation. So here's where you kind of understand. If you are trying to apply for a diploma program or advanced diploma, you just need your high school transcript and your high school proof of graduation, right? If they're not in English, please translate them and provide the original one, okay? If you're applying for a graduate certificate or postgraduate certificate, you need your high school transcript and proof of completion and your university one, okay? And if they're not in English, please translate them and provide the original one. So that's an important part. The next important part is the English requirement. So this is where it gets challenging, but maybe not. So if you have IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, these tests, great. If not, please prepare. For January, the good part is we're still accepting Duolingo English tests. So if you don't know what Duolingo is, it's online, it's about $50, and the results come in very, very quickly. So it's a quick and easy way to meet the academic English requirements, right?
Breska, do you think at some point Mohawk College will stop accepting Duolingo? What do you think?
I think right now it's only accepted until for January intake, it's not confirmed for September. So maybe, or maybe they might just like, I'm not sure. So I don't think it will be a forever thing unless something's changed.
For example, some schools stopped accepting it, and you know what? They started accepting it again after like one intake. Then they activated it again. I was like, why did you do that? And they're like, okay, it's convenient for everyone.
Yeah, it is very, very convenient. But I think like there's just some concerns about, is it really measuring all the areas it needs to measure? But like there's other alternatives to online. There's TOEFL IBT, which is online, and we accept that too. But Duolingo, we accept if that's an easy way to clear these conditions for you, then go ahead for January.
For January intake at least, yeah.
Yeah, and we also have the application fee, which is $100, because we work really closely with our partner here. So the first 5 students that apply after this presentation, so if you apply by June, we will waive that application fee for you. So
yay!
So that's that. We're thanking you for your time for attending. So you could connect with your agent for that. And I'll send them the details after the presentation today. So that's basically all the admission requirements. It sounds tedious, but that's basically the general. But I'd like to point out something. Some programs require specific marks in specific courses. For example, our computer system programs, some of them will ask, you need to show us proof of grade 12 mathematics with 60% higher, 60% or higher, or 80% or higher. So you have to pay attention to this. And you can just check the admission requirements right on the program page. So every program has details. So while we're on this topic, why not I just show you this? So if you go on the program page, let's say you're interested in civil engineering technology. You just click on admission and it will give you the admission requirements. You can see here that you need English. As an international student, already you know that you need IELTS, TOEFL, PTE. I will give you an outline here of exactly what score. But you also need grade 12 mathematics with 80% or higher. So you really need to show this. If you don't have this, you'll have a condition on your acceptance, and you need to clear.
Actually, this is quite high, 80%. But this is this is engineering, guys. You need to know maths, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
This makes sense, a lot of sense. But of course, we all should pay attention to this admission list here. And we need to check it out and make sure that we meet those admission requirements.
Yeah, and here it will tell you, like you need IELTS or TOEFL or English requirements with 6.0 in no categories less than 5.5, right? So you already have all the requirements here. For Duolingo, you could talk to your agent, but if you just want to know it right now, if a program says 6.0 for Duolingo, it means 105 and nothing less than 100. If a program says 6.5, it's 115 and nothing less than 105. Complicated, I know, but if you're really eager right now, that's the information for you there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's for admission requirements. I won't go to the other step, links, because maybe we will talk about it.
Pretty clear. Just before the webinar, I just visited the website again, and it's a great website. It's everything is pretty straightforward. It's easy to navigate. And there's a special page for international students. You can go directly to international students part, and then you can see all the information right there. I think not every school has that, you know, that easy to navigate web pages. Actually, it's easy to do that, but you know, it's hard to find anyway. I don't know why.
Perfect. I'm happy to hear that. It was pretty.
Yeah, it is.
To go.
Oh, residence offerings.
Perfect. Okay, so we do have a residence on campus. So it's on campus, but spots are very limited right now. So if you know you want to get that full student experience, you want to be on campus with the meal plans and everything, you can apply at the time of your application. They take I think a deposit of like $350 to save your spot. It's refundable if your visa is refused, from what I understand. Okay, so that there is that option. It's only for if you're coming solo. If you're coming with families, or if you're not looking for that type of experience, or if it's a little bit expensive for your budget, there's off-campus housing. Okay. So the Canadian culture here, I'm not sure if it's the same in Turkey. I never even asked. But when students are studying a little bit away from home, what happens is they share a room inside a shared house. So there's a student house, maybe like 5 rooms, and students share the common areas, but they have their own independent room. And that's traditionally the cheapest. Like I would say like 80% of the students go to that route. Especially at a college level, and it's about $600 per month for that type of accommodation.
But you know, it's always risky to, you know, rent a house with some other students that you don't know. Maybe it's useful for the second semester or the third semester when you have classmates, when you meet with people, right? For the first comers, maybe the on-site, on-campus residences are probably a better idea if they're like coming alone.
It is a little bit pricey. So, but if you know, students can accommodate that, you're really getting that super Canadian, super student experience, and you know, you'll be close to your campus, and I'm sure on top of your studies this way.
Which one is more expensive, you said?
Residence.
It's around $1,000 a month. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's cheap.
So if you're thinking this for solo,
because Wi-Fi, water, electricity, and furnishings, right? Everything is included.
So now that you put it into perspective like that, I guess it's not so bad. But
of course, if you compare with Toronto prices.
I know, yeah, you're right. I know that we are looking in the future, not for January, but for future, to have really controlled off-campus residence for like cheaper, right? Like $750, and it was like shared, and maybe even families could live in one room and there's different beds, right? So there's growing options, but for now, this is traditionally what it is. Of course, if you are looking for, if your budget allows it, you can rent an entire apartment, you know, 2-3 bedroom apartment, very close to campus for a little bit.
For example, if I'm coming with my family, I have a wife and a son, okay? And I need a 2-bedroom apartment for rent. What's the average price in Hamilton?
So I think depending on where you go right now, everything is getting a little bit expensive, but I would say around like 1,500 should get you a really nice 2-bedroom, 1,600 like that. Yeah.
Okay. Still much lower than Toronto.
Much lower than Toronto. I've heard recently that Toronto went up to 2,300 for 1-bedroom, which is.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys, in Toronto. So yeah. It's like Istanbul, right? It's a big city, and the demand supply, you know, there's an imbalance. So this is how it works. How do you support students to find a job? Because, you know, Turkish lira is so weak against all currencies, actually, not just Canadian dollar. the economy is not doing good. A lot of people come here with a lot of finances, but their currency, their finances like melts like a snow in a very short time. So they need to find a job as soon as possible, whatever it is. So do you help your students? Do you support your students finding a job? Not guaranteed, of course, but at least guide them, coach them how to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So just to give you an idea, while you are studying full-time, you can work 20 hours per week. And while you are on your summer and winter breaks, you could work 40 hours per week, which is full-time. So to answer your question, yes. So we do have on-campus jobs in different fields, right? You could work at the bookstore, you could work at the cafeteria, different place. There is on-campus job, especially in the beginning of semesters. There's postings everywhere, but there's also the Mohawk Students Association that posts jobs for students. So students can independently search for jobs, no problem. If not, we do have a career center here. We do have students services here that would guide them. Most importantly, coming to Canada is a different way of finding a job. For example, you might have a CV where your resume or CV is like pages and pages long. In Canada, it's different. It's typically just one page or maximum 2 pages. Doesn't have your pictures, doesn't have your gender, doesn't have your age. So different, right? So we help you with that. We help with resume building. We help you give you resources on where to find a job, not only on campus, but outside campus as well. So there is a career center and there's definitely support.
That's good to hear. Of course, nobody can guarantee that, you know, you will find a job in 3 months. That's exactly. Crazy. I mean, I myself, I looked for a job for 7 months in Toronto when I first came here. I was picky, but still, you know, 7 months was a long time. Oh, another important thing. We have a great students, like real high GPAs, you know, and everything, but English level is not so good and looks for an English school kind of thing. Do you have an English course embedded in Mohawk College, or is there any English private schools in Hamilton?
Yeah, so we do have a program at the college. It's called English for Academic Purposes, or EAP for short. And what that is every semester has 2 levels. So depending on what you score on IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo, you'll be talking with the EAP coordinators, and they will say, you just need 1 semester of EAP, right? Or 2 semesters of EAP. And you can take EAP before your main program, right? So for example, your letter of acceptance will say, the student is taking EAP from January all the way to the end of like for 1 semester, and then they will continue their main program, project management, from September onwards, for example.
The following intake.
Yeah, depends on how many semesters you need. So we do have that option, and that's typically, I suggest that, right? Because it gives you, it's not just for English. It will definitely improve your English for sure. I see my students coming in, I talk to them after 1 semester, it's like a world of a difference, right? But it also helps you enter an academic setting in Canada. It's so different, right? So getting adjusted to life in Canada and things, they help you with that, right? So that program is available for them, and that typically runs per semester $6,100.
Yeah. Any private schools in Hamilton?
We do have agreement with some pathway schools. I haven't refreshed my memory on you know, which ones we still work with in Hamilton, but there's like ILSC. There's also ILAC. You know, we do have pathway agreements with them.
Okay.
And if the student is looking for something, you can let me know and I'll follow up with you.
Okay. This is good to know, because a lot of our students are educated in English in Turkey for a long time, but still most of them struggle with speaking mostly. You know, that's usually the case. You're like really good at grammar. You can write, you can listen, but speaking is like always more challenging especially for Turkish people.
Yeah.
And they might need to polish their skills in English before they start the academic program.
It's definitely such a good investment because it's once you go to classes, you're really sitting in a classroom with native English speakers, right? And they're here writing and going through assignments, and it might be difficult for you because everything is so new. So, and trying to pick up on the language can be a little bit difficult if you're not quite there yet, right? So this can help you for sure.
A question: how many Turkish students do you have?
I don't know the number, but we do. It's not a big number. I'm not going to.
10?
Yeah. So I think every semester, I would say a steady 5 to 10 on average. Yeah.
Up to 10. Yeah. Good. Not too bad, right?
It's a steady number, but where COVID really impacted.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's recovering. Yeah,
it's recovering,
we'll
for sure. And the idea of college is finally being understood in Turkey because the more they research, the more they realize that this is what I need, right? I don't really need a thing, right? So it depends.
Yeah. I have one final question on my list, but we haven't received any questions from the participants yet. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. This is a question a lot of students ask me. Same reason, the financials are like, not easy for a lot of people. Do you have any scholarship options in college?
Yeah, that's a popular question. So we don't have any admission-based scholarship. We have merit-based, and we do have some bursaries available, but only after they start their studies. So after you start your studies and after about a month, you'll have information about this, but you could search it yourself on your internal portal, and you could apply. There's scholarships, external ones, especially for many different reasons, right? You could have high IELTS, you could be a Turkish student. I'm sure you'll find scholarships. A lot of them need you to apply, right? So you would need to search for them and apply. But Mohawk College itself, we do have bursaries, and they are just for expressing that you need financial need, you'll have funding available for you that way too. So
okay. So you have all this information in your website too,
yes,
right? All this, yeah. So if you want to get more information on the bursaries and scholarships, you can go ahead, look at the web page and let us know if you have any questions. But mostly how this works is you apply to the college and start in the college, and then you apply for the scholarship. This is mostly how it works, actually, for Canadian students too. Okay. Do you have anything to add? I had my questions, but I don't want you to limit it by those. So anything we are missing here?
I think we covered a lot, actually, but just keeping in mind that I don't know if students have questions about tuition fees. That's always a topic. So each program is a little bit different. You could go on the website. It'll tell you exactly how much per year for an international student. I wanted to add one thing, if I can. I wanted to show you the outline of what happens when you apply, because a lot of students get confused, right? So June 26th, we'll start to accept application. So you could prepare your application now, have it there. June 26th hits, your agent or you with them can submit the application. So once you submit the application, you will wait to receive your decision, or what we call a pre-admit. So this takes time. So this takes about 4 weeks, okay? So that's why I suggest applying early. So once you receive your decision, it will say, okay, if you're happy with this offer, go ahead and make a deposit. This is part of your first semester fees. Make a deposit of $2,200 to accept this and secure your seat. Once you pay this, you'll get your letter of acceptance. You need your letter of acceptance in order to start the visa process. So just keep in mind, this whole process should take you about 6 weeks. And this is generally the idea. So when you do get it, please note that this is the map. So yeah.
Okay, this was helpful. I mean, this was good. I think this was
perfect.
Question missing from my side, but that's good that you added that. Okay, I think we have a question here. Oh, 2 questions here. Okay. Is there a fixed timetable for lessons or is it flexible? I mean, can I create my own schedule?
That's a perfect question. So if we have different campuses, right? So for our main one and for most of our programs at our main campuses, they're pretty much fixed, right? Maybe you'll have 1 or 2 options with just slight differences, but they're pretty much fixed and they're usually not confirmed until 1 month before classes start, okay? If you're studying at our Mississauga campus, which is our private-public partnership, it's in a city closer to Toronto, that's for students that want structure. So they wanted to go to classes from 8 a.m. to 12 in the noon and then be off the rest of the day. Or they want to go to class from like in the evening, like 4 to, I guess, I don't know what time, it runs till late, like 10 p.m., right? If they want that structure, and you would go to that campus. The only thing is, please do research on that campus, because from my conversation with Turkish students, they're not really in favor of, a smaller campus with not so many services like the gym and all these bigger activities, right? So just do your research, but pretty much it's fixed, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Another one, if the person is planning to study IT, okay, we have an IT person here. At your college, what is the estimated savings should be in hand in advance before being able to cover their needs from the income they start to generate after start working? Long sentence, okay.
So when you're applying as an international student, you will be expected to pay your first semester fees well before you even get your visa approval, you even travel. So first semester fees needs to be paid in advance, which depends on the program. But if I were to estimate for you, it would be around 8,000 Canadian dollars, but it depends per program. So you need to pay that in advance. To answer your other questions, your agent will be better able to assist, but just generally speaking, for your visa application, they will be looking for, if you could at least support 1 year of your studies and at least 1 year of your personal expenses, right? So you need to have that. Again, speak with an immigration consultant or your agent. That's about 30,000, 35,000 you need to have proof of funding for.
Yeah, actually, we all know that if you don't have that financials, there is no way you can get a visa anyway. Yeah. You can get an approval, acceptance from the school, but your visa will not be approved at the end of the day. So it's a good question. That's something to be focused, because before taking this even first step, right? Because everything will be wasted if you don't have those financials. Good question.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Oh, good timing, huh? 1:52, not too bad.
I think we covered a lot. You're all experts now.
Yeah, good. Okay, Breska, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us today. I'm leading the conversation and answering all the questions. So going forward, guys, if you are interested in Mohawk College, Breska and I have been working together for some time. Not a long time, but in short time, we get to know each other very well. Professionally, of course. It's good to always work with good professionals. So let me know if you have any questions so that I can clear out with Breska and get back to you. And if you want to apply, we just received an application fee waived for 5 students. We can use that and make the application. And of course, if you need more information about the area and the school, you can directly contact me.
Perfect. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for having us. It's really helped, and I love connecting with you. In the future, if your agent and I plan, you might see us in person in Turkey. If you don't plan to apply for January, and hopefully we'll see you in person here or back home.
Do you have any plans to go to Turkey soon?
Yes, we could talk about it, but I'm aiming towards October. November.
Okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. You have a great rest of the day and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for
Thanks,
joining.
Breska. See you later. Bye-bye.